Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be back. I know last week I took a break, but I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something new. And I said, this is the time that I can do it, take a break and figure out what to do next. And I'm super excited to do my next amazing session. And this time it's going to be a one on one because I think this person that I want to bring in today has so much to talk about and has done so much and so many different things that he pretty much is like a one man army. So, if you guys have been following my Facebook page, you pretty much know who I'm talking about. And I'd like to welcome the man himself. Hi, Mihir Joshi.
Hi, Domini. Good to see you.
It feels so weird. Like you are like the epitome of, hosts and anchors and RJs. And here I am doing an interview with you. Feels weird?
Uh, No, it feels great. I'm happy to be on the other side for a change. Generally, I'm the one asking the questions and initiating the conversation. It's always nice to talk about myself as well. And I can't think of anyone better than you to have a conversation with.
Oh, you're so sweet. So first of all, I have to say I've been watching your son's pictures, and I think he's just growing so cute. And he's keeping you
Thank
and
you.
Neha busy. I can imagine that, right?
We just have the most incredible time with him. It's uh,
How
it's
cute.
it's something interesting every day. There's like a new facet of him. He learns new words every day. There's something new that he will show us, which we've not seen him do before. It's brilliant. It's fantastic.
How old is he now?
He just turned 2 right now on 13th of August last year. I mean, last
Wow,
month. Yeah.
that's okay. Wow, wow, that's amazing. Mihir, we go back so long. It's like weird. I mean, we've known each other for what, almost 11 years now. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I think I still recall when we first connected, it was as if we had already known each other, and
Yeah.
we started working, together on what I was trying to build at that time, and didn't even know where it was going to go. I'm super excited to also tell you that this initiative that I have started and I had done 4 sessions of. This is the first time that we're also now live streaming it on the Artist Love Facebook page as well. So yeah,
That's
I
brilliant.
mean, yeah, I think you coming in demanded that. So we said, okay, we've got to make this. So I spoke to my social media person and I said, what do you think? And I was a little kind of, I felt weird because it was like, I run the business, but I don't want people to feel like I'm trying to, build my own thing there. But he was really sweet. He said, yeah, I think it's great content. So let's do it. I was like, yay. So yeah, that was fun. But Mihir, coming back to our journey,
Yeah.
we started working together when we were trying to build something called the web cert, if you remember that,
Yeah. That's
right?
before there was live streaming on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. I think this was like a pioneering effort for Indian content creation because nobody else had done something along those lines where
Yeah.
a band is actually performing live and you were able to broadcast that entire performance live on social media. And I think it
Uh,
was brilliant. I think the first one that we did was with Shivani Kashyap, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and I love her because she'll always, of course, not only remind me, but it makes me also realize that she's been there through that
Yeah.
entire journey. Few guys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's you, there's Shibani, there's been Manasi Scott. Some of them, and of course, even people like Palash Sen, who I've known for 25 years, and he always crops up back and says, "Okay, like we'll do something together." But tell me, what has been your journey? I mean, I met you 11 years back, but
Yeah.
where did you start from?
So my journey starts 5 years before we met because I after finish I'm an electronics engineer. I did my engineering like all good Maharashtrian boys do. I mean, as our parents expect, go study properly. I finished that, got my first class certificate, gave it to my family, and said like now I've got to follow my heart and get into the music and entertainment world. My ideal solution would have been if I could have become a singer, but I did not know the industry at all at that point of time. And nobody in my entire family tree is in the entertainment line. So, for me, it was figuring my own way out completely. And it goes, very much with the theme of your show, which is make it myself. I really did have to make it myself because there was nobody to even guide me. So I said, okay, I used to be the lead singer of my college band. And I figured that since I don't know any musicians, because all the musicians who were in my band went abroad to do their MS and MBA or started working in companies. But I
Right.
knew that I wanted to get into music. So I said, okay, if I can't sing immediately, let me start playing the music I love on radio. I've always been comfortable talking. I mean, even during my college days, I used to be
Right.
an anchor on stage or sing or perform. I have never been daunted by being on stage or being in front of people. So I said, okay, let me become a radio jockey because I always thought that the radio medium was very interesting. And I
Right.
auditioned for All India Radio's FM Rainbow, and I got through quite instantly. And I joined
Wow.
them, and yeah, I mean, I spent 5 years with All India Radio's FM Rainbow. I spent about a couple of years with
How did
Radio
you
One,
land up?
and
How did you land up doing an audition? I mean, how did you know who to reach out to, or were they looking out for RJs? How did that happen?
FM Rainbow is the only radio station which actually does auditions every year, or at least did back then, because it's a
Okay.
government-run organization. They need
Right.
new people to come in every year, and a radio jockey on FM Rainbow isn't like a radio jockey on other stations where if you got, say, for instance, if you're the morning radio jockey on, say, Radio One or Fever
Yeah.
or whatever, you will be
Yeah.
doing mornings every day. On FM
Mm.
Rainbow, there's a different radio jockey every morning. So people actually tune in sometimes based on whom they like. So if they know that, okay, Mihir is going to come on Wednesday morning, then I knew that there would be a different set of people who would definitely be tuned in on Wednesday morning, apart from the people who just kept the radio on. And there are people who just keep the radio on, but there are people who would tune in specifically because they knew that their favorite radio jockey was on a specific day. So I did
Right.
that. I did an audition because I knew that there was a audition date. I went, I did the audition, and it was fairly simple for me because it was based on music knowledge, and that's what my shows also were always about. My shows were always about music. I never talked random stuff. I never talked about the weather and reading poetry and telling jokes. I was not that kind of a guy, and
Yeah.
I created a moniker for myself, a brand identity for myself called Music Man Mihir. I
Right.
created it for two reasons. One is, of course, that having a brand name is always instantly good because it's
Correct.
recognizable. And
Yeah.
at that point of time, there was this "Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi," which was very popular. So I used to keep
Right.
getting those random jokes
Yeah.
about Mihir and Tulsi and all that. So I wanted it to be that if somebody thinks about music and Mihir, they think about Music Man Mihir and not about that guy from that TV show. So that was another. I mean, that's
That's
just the
amazing.
funny
So
part, but it was
you were
about
thinking
creating a brand
marketing.
identity.
You were thinking
Sorry.
marketing. I said you were thinking marketing even before becoming a talent. It's interesting, which is
See, I
yeah.
was also, thanks to my engineering, the one good thing that came out of it was I was never daunted by technology. I had a website back then. It was on GeoCities, and you could make a guest book. So before Facebook, Twitter, Orkut, and all came out, I had a website. I was the only radio jockey back then with a website, and I had a guest book so that after every episode, and I would tell them that, hey, you can go on my website and you can write down your thoughts and feedback, and I will, or if you have a request for next week, you can put that down and I'll take it. So I was
Right.
actually doing social media interactions before social media as a concept came on, because a couple of
Right.
years after I started doing that is when Orkut came to India. And then I
Right.
went on Orkut, then I went on Facebook, then I went on Instagram, and I knew instantly the power of the digital platforms, which is why after spending about 8 years in radio, I decided to make a move and create my own platform, which was the MJ Show. But to
Right.
answer one more thing, like I said, I wanted to be a singer. And I figured
Right.
that, let me start interviewing bands. There was nobody interviewing English bands on radio. So I became
Right.
one of the first guys who was interviewing English bands. So everybody from Parikrama to Pentagram, Zero, Helga Spun Castle, Soulmate, all the best bands of that time frame, they all came on my show. And because of that, I started meeting musicians. And I said, like, okay, I want this guy to be my guitar player. I want this guy to be my bassist. And I formed my first band around them. So
What was the band
parallelly,
called then? What was the
back
band?
then, the first band was called the King Keys, Kingkeys, King Keys. And
Okay.
yeah, the play of the words is there. And then my second band, which was formed immediately a year or so after that, was a band called The Works. And after that, I've just gone by my name, Mihir Joshi Band everywhere. It's just easier to
Correct.
keep it with my
Yeah.
branding. So,
Okay.
while there was parallelly one aspect of me, which was being an anchor, a radio jockey, and doing talk related stuff, there was also a parallel side of me, which was performing. I was performing at Hard Rock cafes and not just Jazz by the Bay and Firangi Pani and all of those places with my band. So these were the two things that were happening, and this journey began, like I said, about 16 years ago. So the music began about 15 years ago. It took me about a year of being a radio jockey to
You know,
and
to me,
interviewing people.
yeah, for me, hearing your journey as a radio jockey is, I mean, not necessarily the story is similar to Luke, but I think Luke Kenny also, when I was in Channel V and we were, working together, he to me was the walking talking music, encyclopedia. And I think that is
Yeah.
something that you managed to also become. But musically, what is the kind of music that you were listening to, and how did you let that influence your programming or your what you were doing on the
So
station?
I was completely into Western music, everything from the 30s to what was happening right now. So, because I was also into old films. So, I was
Right.
very deeply entrenched into old music. And in fact, I always attribute people like Dean Martin, Nat King Cole, Roger Whittaker, Elvis, Cliff Richard, the Beatles as my, I say that these guys were my gurus because I am a self-taught singer. I listen to these guys and I mean, most people say that okay, we listen to Metallica or Queen or Led Zeppelin or Aerosmith and became singers. For me, it
Right.
was much before that. My singing gurus were people who were singing and crooning and all of these, beautiful soft melodies. And that's the music I grew up on. That's the kind of music I was listening to and singing. And that's how I
Right.
learned how to sing. And I came to a point where I had the confidence to go up on stage. So I started off with that music, and then of course my evolution happening because then I found out okay, after the Beatles I knew that okay, the British music scene really exploded. So then I wanted to find out
Yeah.
who were the people in that Led Zeppelin and Eric Clapton and the Rolling Stones, and then found out that they were influenced by blues musicians from America. So I wanted to find out who are these guys, and
Right.
from one artist to the other. This is before the internet world. You finding out through books and through
Yeah.
magazines. I went about researching and finding out the artists, and each artist led me to three other artists or four other artists, and then I kept constantly devouring their
Yeah.
music, and that was
Interesting
what.
that Yeah, interesting the time that you're talking about when Western music was actually kind of influencing all of us. I don't know if you ever experienced things like the Kuwait radio and, even your Top of the Pops on Doordarshan. I mean, these were the kind of shows that used to run where,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, it was the first time I still remember watching Brian Adams' Run to You. And that was our first kind of, visit to the Western music. But tell me, so okay, so all of this happened, radio happened, and when we met, you were already pretty much, pursuing a singing career, and of
yeah,
course, then there's the Times Music, the album also that you released, right,
yeah.
through the years. How did that journey kind of, I mean, where is music in your life right now? Because I know that like we're saying, you've spent 7 years doing the MJ show. You also
Yeah.
did some stuff about hosting WWE, and so how did the journey move in so many directions?
So, I always say, people ask me, or, when they see my, say, social media and they see that I do a lot of things, they always wonder, "Hey, there are so many things that you do." But I always simplify by saying that my entire career is built on only one aspect, which is my voice. I've used my voice in
Mm.
various capabilities and I've made a living out of that. Now, unfortunately, in India, singing in English was not or is not a viable career. Even today, I don't think there is a single English musician who can say that, hey, I can, live a comfortable life just singing English music.
That's
They are
singing. Yeah.
100% doing something else. It could be production work, it could be teaching, it could be whatever else. And I did not want to see, I don't have any Bollywood roots. I don't have any Indian classical training of any sort. So I knew that even if I did Bollywood, which I did, I had a Bollywood band as well, and we played
Yeah.
quite a few corporate shows. I knew that
Yeah.
that wasn't my forte. That wasn't the space that I wanted to be in. And in the last couple of years, especially since Neil was born, my live performances have reduced significantly because I wanted to take like a sort of a self-imposed sabbatical to be around Neil a lot more. Because singing is not just about the day you go and perform. There are days
No.
of being
Yeah.
around Neil and
Right.
staying away from the family and whatever else. So I wanted to give as much time as I could. Also because I knew that my main sort of sources of income or my main focus was the MJ show and my WWE commentary. So for over 2 years
Right.
now, I've been doing live Hindi commentary for WWE on Sony 10.3. So all the shows that happen, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, all the main shows that happen, the pay-per-views that happen.
Right.
I'm one of the voices that does commentary for that. So I spent a lot of time focusing on that, and the other time I focused on making the MJ show as strong and as big as I could. So, for instance, right now, since the lockdown began, I've been going live with the MJ show on Instagram, and
Right.
I've had over 150 guests in the last 5 months that I've been
Wow.
doing the MJ show. Yeah,
That's crazy. Wow. No, so I really want to step back and get a sense of how did the MJ show start, and
sure.
what made you you know build something like that, because you could have gone back to radio, or I don't know. I mean, you were doing stuff already on TV. How did
Right.
that idea come in?
So, in fact, on Radio One, the last stint that I had in radio, I was hosting what I would say was the precursor of the MJ show. I was hosting a music talk show called One Mumbai, One Music, where I had
Right.
done over 75 episodes, and pretty much all the singers in the industry had come and they chatted with me about their music and their life and their career. And I knew that that's something that I was very comfortable with. See, because my style of my interviews is not
Hmm.
like a radio jockey talking to a celebrity, or not
That,
like a journalist talking to a celebrity. It's always a friend talking to another friend. It's an artist
right.
talking to another artist. So while I knew that yes, there is a parallel, I'm a radio jockey, I'm a host, I'm a talk show host, and all of that, I also embraced the fact that I am an artist. And I think my guests recognized that too, that they knew that okay, this is not just a guy who's got 6 questions prepared and he's going to ask them no matter what. I mean, I feed off my guests very often.
Yeah.
I don't have a script of any sort when I meet up with anybody. I have an outline. I read up on them. I know what their music is and I know their timeline. But then I don't really plan a script. It's just that okay, let me take this person through their journey, and they've enjoyed
Yeah.
that. So
Correct.
the radio show at Radio One was one of the precursors, and coincidentally, Luke Kenny was involved in the second aspect of helping make the MJ show a video platform. So I had a
Really?
blog, and I used to, what I did after leaving radio for almost a year is I used to put up blogs where I would pretend that the written text is my radio show. So everything I would have spoken, I would type it down. And the
Right.
songs that I would have played on radio, I used to put up YouTube videos of that. So I had done 99 episodes of that. And for my 100th episode, for the very first time, I decided I'll make a live video where I'm actually on camera. And
Right.
for that, I thought, I need to have a guest. And I called Luke Kenny over to my house. And he and I are very old friends as well.
Yeah.
And he was
Yeah.
very sweet. He came over home and we shot for 7 hours, because what we did is we
Wow.
essentially went through the first 99 episodes, and then he took one episode, I took one episode, he took one episode, I took one episode, and we choose our favorite song from each episode and why we liked it. So it was almost a 2 hour piece of content which we broke up into 10 parts and put it up. So that was before the MJ show was a thing. That was the first video format MJ show that went out. After that happened, it took me another 6 7 months. I reached out to actually a platform, an MCN reached out to me and said, hey, we would love for you to come and do interviews with singers. And I said, I have this format which I wanted to do, and our visions matched. It was a network called the Ping Network, and they
Right.
were very supportive. They were brilliant in their the kind of help that they gave me in actually taking my vision to an actual platform where I could see, because I did not know anything about video cameras or editing or anything. So they did the entire back end and they did the entire production, and I did the
Right.
entire programming. So all the guests who came on the show were my responsibility,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they did the entire production. So it was a great team up in the first couple of seasons. We did 75 episodes together. Then I did
Wow.
3 seasons by myself with Facebook. And since then, since the last year or so, One Digital is now managing me. And right now, what's going on is season 7 of the MJ show.
But that's amazing. I mean, so you had an idea, you brought in, and of course, it always happens there, right? You bring in. I mean, I think of the way I've built Artist Aloud. It's something I wanted to build. I reached out to Neeraj Roy, and he said, "Oh, this is something we've been wanting to do. Join the company and build it for us." So, I mean, I think it becomes kind of serendipity. You are in one sense meeting the right people who will just take
Yeah,
your journey and give you a chance to bring it alive. Uh,
correct.
how tough was it when you had to do it on your own with Facebook? I mean, was Facebook really giving you production support, or it was just the platform?
So for 2 seasons, I did everything by myself. I found a team which wanted to work with me, a brilliant young team of two video, a guy who would shoot and another guy who knew how to edit really well. They wanted to work with me, which I thought was incredible. And I told them very clearly, listen, guys, I'm not making money right now. I have
Right.
nothing to offer you. They said, no, sir, we want to work with you because we see that working with you will lead to more work for us. And for us, the experience is very important because we will learn from something like this because we've not done anything like this. They made music videos and things like that. I said, okay, come on. And we landed up doing 2 seasons, almost 40 to 50 episodes together where they would come with me for every show. They would shoot. If of course there was any expenses required, I would bear that. But they pretty
Yeah.
much, it was a collaborative effort where, I made sure that they were introduced to all my guests. They landed up working with a lot of the musicians that I introduced them to, or, with whom I was doing an interview. So they started making a little bit of money from my guests, in a manner of speaking, which I was happy to support them with, because they were doing a good job for me, and I was happy to introduce them to more people.
Yeah.
See, my life has been a life of figuring things out and hustling, because it's, as an English musician or as an anchor,
I
there's
can
never
make
been
you
like
my,
an avalanche of money happening in my life.
yeah,
So,
I can
I
make,
need.
yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was say I can make you the ambassador of my initiative here. Make it myself. Learn it the Mihir Joshi way.
No, but
But
seriously, I mean,
that's amazing.
Neha, my wife, always tells me that, I think she thinks that I am the most accomplished hustler that she has seen, and I mean that in a good sense. That I've always figured a way out. I never had to. Worry about, okay, will I be able to sustain myself? Will I be able to continue doing my work? Because I would figure out making relationships happen to make my work happen. For instance, even my album, which I released 6 years ago, Mumbai Blues, I waited till a point where I knew that I had the best production possible for that. And I did that also in a completely collaborative way where Ashish Manchanda saw the value in what I was doing. And he said,
Right.
you know what, Tom, I'll produce your album. And Ashish Manchanda is, for me, one of the finest producers of music in our country.
Yeah.
He produced
Yeah.
my album. He did it completely by himself. He recorded it partly in Ranjit Paruk's studio, partly in Ashish's studio. And after it got released in a massive way. For 9 years I was a brand ambassador for Harman. So Harman has a massive thing that happens at Palm Expo called the Harman Live Arena.
Yeah.
Ehsan and Loy came and launched my album, and
Wow.
about a year after that, we won the GMA Award for Best Rock Album for that. So for me,
Right.
that was a dream debut in terms of music as well. And that also happened completely with me figuring my way out. How do I get the best musician? How do I get the best producer? How do I release it in the best possible way? And all of these things were done without spending too much or spending very little money. So,
Yeah.
like again, like I said, your the title of your show is perfect because I did figure out a way to make it myself, and
But
I'm
the
I'm
thing is
quite
this.
happy with what I've done.
Yeah, because I think the beauty of this is one is the openness for collaboration, right? A lot of times people tend to get so overtly possessive about their ideas or concepts, or even they're so worried about the competition that they tend
Yeah,
to kind of close their minds and say, nee, 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 we can't do something that the other person, like even if it's in the same space or it actually adds value. So I would call you a hustler. I would call you a collaborator. You're going out there and
yeah,
bringing people who are like-minded and
yeah,
adding their I think even the way we worked when we did the web cert, I mean, you not only came in as a host, you helped us even from a point of being able to bring in brands. And I think that element of collaboration was it definitely, even with what you spoke about, those 2 seasons that you did with those boys, I think it
yeah.
was a very honest, transparent partnership where you were giving them the opportunity. They saw it as an opportunity and they actually leveraged it. I think you
Yeah.
also helped them by
Oh,
giving
yeah.
them, a chance to be known for what they were doing. So that's
Oh,
amazing.
absolutely. No, and
Yeah.
even today they are in touch with me, and wherever I get an opportunity to plug them and tell them, because they become like, they've almost become like family to me, like when my son was born, they were one of the first, the first two people who came and met us. So, they become so close because, see, for me, it's very important that the people I work with or the people who work with me are
Yeah.
people whom I can genuinely relate with and trust. Because for me,
Yeah.
that's the most important thing. I don't have I'm not, like, for instance, you said you and I have known each other for 11 years, but despite that, and I've known pretty much everybody in the industry, but I keep to myself most often. I come, when
Yeah,
there's work, I come, I do my work, and I go back home. I'm not the partying kind. I'm not the excessively socializing kind. But for me, the people who are my core circle, the people who work very closely with me, my family, that's very important. And for me, having a very strong relationship with all of these people is very
yeah,
important. So, I've been very fortunate that I've been able to meet the right kind of people and attract the right kind of people, because I believe in that too. You do attract. If you're a good person, you will end up attracting other good people as
of
well.
course.
It's not just a
Yeah,
very bad world, and I
yeah,
feel that good
you
people
know,
will find the right people to work with.
absolutely. And I also think the industry, for all the, all the pizzazz and all the, glitteriness in it, I think it also looks for people who are honest and who
Yeah,
are, who work hard. I mean, I think everyone's getting tired of a lot of this bol bachangiri and, people say, ha ha, ho jayega and all, and it's all talk. So I think, I mean, what I'm amazed is also your MJ show is not just about music, right? You have even featured a lot of other talent.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think, yeah. So I mean, that obviously has built your equity and built your name as somebody who really goes all out to create a great show out of it. But tell me something, Mihir. You just mentioned in passing that the pandemic has given you one element of innovation where you've not stopped yourself
Yeah,
in spite of not being able to be with the guest face to face, just like we're doing it.
right.
But how do you think? How is this entire thing affecting you personally? And have you found ways and thought of solutions which is going to keep you, moving and commercially keeping you afloat?
So here's the crazy thing. The lockdown was announced on the 22nd of March. It took me about 8 days to figure out. I took like a little break. I was like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? And on the 30th of March, I decided that, what, let me not wait. I don't know when this lockdown will lift. Some part of my mind said that it may not just be the 1 or 2 weeks that they are talking about, because logic told me that until you get a vaccine for something as serious as this, the world is not going to go back to normal. So if I had waited, saying, okay, chalo, when things get back to normal, I'll start shooting the MJ show again, I would have been out of any sort of meaningful work for almost 5 months already since
Right,
March. So I said, okay,
right.
let me start. So it took me 8 days to figure it out. And I said, okay, let me start it off on Instagram. I called up one person, then another, then another. And literally in the months of April and May, those were my busiest months. Each of the days I was having anywhere between 2 and 3 guests on the show. And in those 2 months, I had almost 100 guests on my show. And after
Wow.
June, I slowed down. And I said, okay, I'll do one every alternate day. So June, July, and August, I had about 15 guests per month, which is why I've crossed over 150 guests right now. So here's just let me put it in perspective. Before the lockdown began, I would put out one episode a week, and one season would be 25 episodes, and one season would take me about 6 to 8 months. Right
Wow.
now, in 5 months, I have done 158 guests, which would have normally taken me 3.5 years to complete pre-COVID. So I would say that I am 5 times or 6 times more effective right now and busier right now than I was before the world went into the lockdown. It's just that I decided that I can't let myself be I can't let my mind drift into things like worrying
Yeah,
about what's happening and
yeah,
whatever else. If I keep myself busy, and the way I looked at it is every night, if I did an episode for 1 hour or 2 hours, I was entertaining, even if there were 20 people watching. Those 20 people were getting entertained because of me. And I looked at it as that was the little bit that I could do to keep people's minds happy and positive, because I would get great guests who had great stories to tell. So for me,
yeah.
that interaction that I had with my guests and the joy that it would give to a few of my viewers, for me that was very, very important. So I felt like, okay, I'm doing the work that I am meant to be doing, and it's keeping me sane as well. So while I'm doing it for others, it's also helping me tremendously. And yeah, that's how it's been. I
And
mean, since the lockdown, it's been pretty phenomenal.
how was your career commercially before the pandemic, and how is it now? I mean, as somebody who is making it himself, and the reason I'm asking this question is also, uh, people who may be watching now, or who hopefully will get to watch it even later from a VOD perspective.
Yeah.
Um, for them to really get some kind of pointers, like, if a Mihir Joshi can do it, and of course he's got the talent to do it, do I have the talent to kind of follow a similar pattern?
Okay,
Um,
so here's the thing. Very frankly, uh, it's been 7 years, as even the title of our episode here today says. But it's not like I have made a lot of money on the MJ show. So what I've done with the MJ show is I have invested my time, which is my biggest resource, into creating a brand which is now helping me get known all across the industry.
right.
So people wonder, maybe say all goes well a year down the line, 3 years down the line, if this becomes my primary source of income, where I am, because I look at myself, I see myself doing the MJ show until I'm at least 65 to 70 years old, just like a David Letterman or a Jay Leno or people who've done it for 20, 25 years. I see myself hosting my talk show for another 25 years at least. I turn 40 next year, and I definitely see myself working for another 25 years on this show. And the goal is that this should become my primary source of income. This is the biggest property that I've created, and I want it to become my biggest source of income. And I think what for that to happen, me not being somebody from Bollywood or cricket, which are the main saleable and marketable commodities in our country, I had to
Right.
figure out a way to make myself undeniable. I always use this word when I'm talking about the world today. You don't need to have a famous father, and you don't need to have the right contacts. I think the most important thing is you need to be working hard, know that okay, sometimes working hard means that I may not get paid for that work, but still working hard and doing the best that you can, so that eventually you become undeniable. How long can
Right.
somebody say that, hey, we can't, it's come to a point where nobody can ignore the MJ show anymore. I'm talking to literally everybody, and right now it's come to a point where artists and their managements and PR agents are reaching out to me saying that, hey, we've got a new song coming out, we've got a new film coming out, or a new TV show coming out. Can you interview my artist or my guest? So that to happen itself is
Mm.
my first, I would say, parameter of success that has happened, say, in the last 1 year or so, where artists have now started approaching me whenever they've got new content coming out. And now that I have a company like One Digital working with me, the goal is now to work with them to figure out how to get the right kind of brands involved. Because for anybody creating content in the digital space, the only
Yeah.
way you can make money is when you get brands involved. But it's similar to old school television or radio as well. If you create a property, eventually
Yeah.
you get paid when that television station makes money from
Right.
advertising. So
Right.
that's how it's going to change for me as well. At some point of time, we are going to get brands involved, and everybody involved will start making some money. But
Mm.
for me right now, I'm not worried about that. My
Right.
part is work hard, and I have
Yeah.
now got a team whose part is to figure out the business end. So I was doing everything until about a year ago, figuring out, oh, how can I get a brand? Let me do this, let me do that. But now I'm just focusing on the content. All
Right.
I'm doing is I'm saying whether I have a brand on or not, I'm going to keep making content. And now it's the business of One Digital to go out and make sure that, okay, we sell this property and we tell people that, hey, everybody in the entertainment industry is wanting to come and talk on this show. Let's take it to a bigger platform. Let's make it a
Right.
monetized show. Let's make a better set and everything. Because see, I feel that in India, while there are a few talk show kind of formats, there's nothing like this, like what I've created, where people can come and genuinely talk about themselves, their life, their music, or their talent, whatever it may be, whether they are an actor, stand-up comedian, dancer, whatever. They know that they can come and have a genuine conversation. It's not driven by comedy. It's not driven by gimmicks. I'm not doing
Yeah.
something to make them feel uncomfortable or make them feel awkward about it. And I can tell you, even the people who come on my show for the first time, they go back out of my show as my friends. I know that I can stay in touch with them personally. Most often, I'm in touch with them on WhatsApp or on phone calls, and I can pick
Yeah.
up the phone and talk to any of my guests, even if I've met them for the first time on my show. Because after spending half an hour to 45 minutes with me, they feel like,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
this
pretty
is a
much
guy
gone.
that we can
Yeah.
be friends with.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, honestly, Mihir, that is something that I don't even think needs it doesn't really need a testimonial, because I mean, I've experienced that myself. We connected the first time we met, and we've been in touch for so many years. We've been working together professionally, and somehow
Yeah.
whenever we have anything to celebrate, you're always in that list. So it's just a matter of really keeping that engagement going on and on. So if I was to say in a nutshell, in one sense, is when you make up your mind as somebody trying to do something, focus on getting it done rather than what are you going to get out of it, right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's amazing. So before I end this today, I would like to actually get a maybe in one line or one phrase or whatever. What is make it myself to you?
For me, that's honestly the only way that I have lived my life. It has to be a life driven by passion and complete commitment. Like, honestly, if you doubt yourself, then you're not going to make it in a world where you want to make it yourself. If you're content, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be a part of, like a larger organization and doing things, and going and having a regular job and everything. Of course, that's a great way to live your life as well. But if you're going to be a maverick, if you're going to be a little crazy like I am, the only way to do it is believe in yourself 100%, have a passion that you can genuinely get behind, and just not give up. So that's the only way to make it yourself, and not be disappointed by failures. Learn from your failures and figure out a way to get even stronger and even better, and come out positive no matter what. The next day when you wake up, you've got to be positive and happy about the fact that, you may not be making a lot of money, but you're doing something that you love as your profession. That should be your driving force, and that
Yeah.
passion is the only way to make it yourself.
Yeah, and I think what you've done with the MJ show will always be yours to talk about. So
Yeah.
that's proof in the pudding. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mihir. It was so much fun talking to you. I mean, a lot of things that were things I knew, but it's always nice to hear about it again. But I really believe that you shouldn't stop and keep going. You've completed 7 years. I hope to hear about 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and as long as either one of us lives on, we
Absolutely.
can keep hearing. But all the best, more power to you, and stay safe.
Thank you so many. Lovely chatting with you today. And this is your fifth episode. I wish you all the best for this as well. And I hope you have many, many more, and you continue having these interesting conversations with all sorts of really cool people. I'm definitely going to be checking your show out soon.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.